What would become of Peter Parker if he never relinquished the evil alien symbiote? Well, let's find out together, shall we, as we hop into the pages of Spider-Man the Spider Shadow #1, a brand new what-if story from Chip Zdarsky. Alrighty then, so we're back into the familiar territory of alternate Marvel history. Peter Parker is being tortured at night by horrible dreams of all the people he's let down. He also just so happened to drop out of school, and even Aunt May has cut him out of her life. Essentially, his whole world is falling apart around his ears ever since he didn't vanquish the symbiote that fateful night in the bell tower. The only thing that actually even comes close to bringing Peter any sense of solace anymore is his work as a superhero. He says for once that part of his life is actually running exactly as it should be, thanks in no small part to the power boost that the symbiote suit gives him. Granted, that doesn't come without its own setbacks either. His tactics are becoming a lot more brutal, and he's instilling a lot more fear not only in the criminals of New York, but in regular everyday people too. Essentially, he's become Batman now. The nightmares are becoming so real, so vivid, and so frequent they even cause Peter to lash out at Mary Jane. Obviously, the nightmares are the symbiote trying to seep inside Peter's mind, and you have to wonder if this lashing out at Mary Jane was something the suit made him do on purpose. This latest episode has actually put enough fear into Peter that he decides it's high time to go visit Reed Richards and get him to use his big science brain to try and look into the symbiote problem himself. Only get this, as Peter starts swinging his way to the Baxter building, the suit out of nowhere decides to run out of web, even though it's never done that before. This brief lapse in powers actually proves as the perfect moment for the Hobgoblin to swoop on in and try and squash his longtime spider enemy. Again, I like the historical precedent of the Hobgoblin being the one gunning for Spider-Man. People tend to forget that before Venom came along and blew everyone else out of the water, the Hobgoblin was probably Spider-Man's arch foe at the time. In the effort of self-preservation, the suit decides to actually help Peter win the fight, and he does so quite handedly, only instead of letting Kingsley get away, he actually unmasks him here and now. Peter vows to put the fear of God into Kingsley and says the only reason he let the Hobgoblin live today is he wants him to carry a message to the rest of the New York underworld. Starting now, Spider-Man takes no prisoners. With that brief detour dealt with, Spider-Man is officially able to go to the Fantastic Four for help. Reed Richards runs some tests and figures out what we as the reader already know, and that is the suit isn't just made of any material, it's made of an alien life form. One that once again tries to influence Peter's behavior by incepting ideas into his dream. In fact, it puts words right in the mouth of Aunt May, saying, "Sometimes to do good you have to hurt people, Peter." It's for all those reasons and more, it'll come as no surprise that when Reed says that Peter needs to get rid of that suit and quick, he gets all defensive about it like a junkie who had their junk threatened. "You don't understand, Reed. I need the suit. It needs me. We're perfect together." Not getting the sympathy he wanted from his superhero friends, Peter decides it's high time to go and reconcile with Aunt May. And you know what? Despite everything that's happened in this alternate timeline, despite how crappy Peter looks now, she absolutely takes him in, even apologizes, and the two do ultimately end up reconciling. Here's the big problem though, a jilted Hobgoblin ends up actually following Peter to his aunt's house and blowing it up in retaliation for what Spider-Man did to him. Kingsley's really upset too, saying that Peter broke the rules of engagement. "You're not supposed to unmask me, you're not supposed to threaten my life, there's a rhythm to these things, a tradition, and you broke it and made it very, very personal." Naturally, Spider-Man has no problem kicking the Hobgoblin's ass all up and down the street. Here's the problem though, he's so busy doing that he can't save Aunt May from the fire. Oh, he tries, but the suit stops him, fire being one of the few things that can actually hurt the symbiote. Peter is positively horrified over what the suit just made him do, but instead of actually dealing with those feelings, the suit just decides to redirect all that anger and hate towards Kingsley. Spider-Man ends up assuming a much larger, bulkier, monstrous form, much closer to the original Venom, before ending the life of Roderick Kingsley and vowing that now is the beginning of a new chapter in his life. And so that was Spider-Man the Spider Shadow issue #1, everybody, and if Life Story didn't already tell us everything we needed to know, Chip Zdarsky is pretty good at weaving an alternate universe Spider-Man story. Even if the whole concept of what if Peter never gave up the symbiote suit is kind of a no-brainer and really simple, Zdarsky finds some really interesting angles about how it would impact Peter's life. We see how it affects his love life, we see how it affects his relationship with his friends, And perhaps the best, most interesting part about it all is that at the end of the day, the symbiote is only really latching on to negative aspects of Peter's character that were already there and turning them up to 11. As the series continues too, there's a lot of interesting questions that they still have to answer. What became of Eddie Brock in this world that he never became Venom? Will the suit that Peter is wearing right now eventually give birth to Carnage? And if so, what'll happen with that? Now that Spider-Man has vowed to become a hero who kills, how will that impact his relationship with the rest of the Avengers and the superhero community? Will we see a time jump in the next issue? I'm not sure, but I want to find out. Overall, I'd give this one a very positive 8 out of 10, and I'm interested to see where it goes next.
Hey there everyone, it's your pal Cape Joel again, and if you're seeing my face right now, that means you watched to the end of the video, and I'll always be grateful for that. Retention helps in this crazy YouTube game, and so does becoming a patron. If you head on down to the description, you can find a link to my Patreon page. Recently just redid all the tiers, a lot of cool stuff offering up there, exclusive commentaries, exclusive polls, behind the scenes concept art for Capes and Quest. That's the brand new D&D show I've started soon. Never been a better time to become a patron. You can become a patron for as little as $1 a month and help the channel grow and help me continue to deliver content like what you just saw. So I want to thank you all, and I will see you again next time. Bye bye.